I'm back real soon. Same place, same time, same tune.
Man, I love that. I love that song. Hey, got a great.
The band was warming up this morning. They were a little late. They were out late last night partying, so they just got the lead singer. You can't keep him alive.
That's right. And we're ready to go. Rob Browne in Memphis, Brendan Martin in Ocala, Florida. Hey, got a great show lined up for you today. Before we get started, a couple of notes. Take a picture with your phone of the QR code. We're broadcasting live on 8 channels of Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And Brendan is
just like
exactly
and subscribe.
right.
It's all right, Rob. You ever explain it. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Just hit the button.
Get
There's
that
a
button.
bell. There's a button. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, follow. Let's go.
Okay.
You know what to do.
Yeah. So look, we're going to get going today. We've got Tom Luginbill, ESPN's lead college football recruiting analyst, also part of the ACC network. Played his football for Bill Lewis at Georgia Tech. Talking to him before the show. Look, this is going to be a lot of fun. Doug Dean in Birmingham. Frank Duffy out today on special assignment with Carnival and Mardi Gras preparation. He is going to take off today. I'm not sure he would know where he is, but let's get Doug Dean and Tom Luginbill in here right now. Gentlemen, Tom, we talked about, you and I were talking a minute ago, and we just now starting, Doug. We didn't have to start over. Everything was good. We had a little update. But, Tom, recruiting is different. We all remember how big a deal that first Wednesday in February was. It was such a big deal that let's just say it altered performance and production in the workplace. But I want to applaud you because I was telling you that I met you. I said hi to you. My son was with me on the field April 20th of 2014 at the Auburn A-Day game. And I was like you can always trust a guy wearing jeans and cowboy boots if he's doing TV. So, but you really, you love what you do. And obviously they pay you, but I think you do it for just doing it because you grew up, your dad Al's a coach. It's in your blood. We need more Tom Luginbill talking. And for Lent, Doug, I told him I'm giving up NIL and portal talk. Okay. So let's talk some college football, recruiting, SEC, ACC, and whatever's on your mind.
Well, it's good to be with you guys. And, you're right. The recruiting scene, the process, the calendar, the day-to-day is so vastly different than it was even just 5 years ago. Most certainly 20 years ago. And, that signing day that you used to reference, that used to be the Super Bowl of college football recruiting, right? And, I know for us and our staff, I would have to spend 11, 12 straight hours live on that set with one bathroom break with election style coverage for I don't know how many years. If I'm going to be totally honest, that part of it I don't really miss. The fact that we split into 2 signing days to kind of ease up the workload a little bit has probably been pretty good for my overall work-life balance. But the thing that as I've watched this and been a part of it, and, as you mentioned, I grew up the son of a college coach. I've been in a locker room since I could walk. I spent my first 11 years in the coaching and scouting profession before joining ESPN, a little over 20 years ago. But the evolution of whether it's been the internet, whether it's been access, whether it's been name, image, and likeness, whether it's been the transfer portal, anytime you have all of these different variables enter into the fray, there's always going to be a trickle-down effect, right? And there's always going to be somebody that gets impacted negatively. And unfortunately, in today's recruiting world, the player that gets impacted negatively is the high school player because there's not enough scholarships now to go around. And that's been a shame to see how that's unfolded over the last 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, it really has. And I think the number I came up with was there were between 33 and 3,400 kids a year signing Division I scholarships. And am I correct when I say maybe 1%, 35 in a given year would be rated a 5-star, between 350 and 400 a 4, and the rest 3s, 2s, and Fernando Mendoza's.
Yeah. Yeah, that's correct. I think that number's a little high. We've done it before. It's usually around 2,800.
Okay.
Now, again, this was prior to the transfer portal coming into play. That number's now decreased fairly significantly. But yeah, you would have on average about 2,800 kids sign an FBS letter of intent. For us, I would say 10 to 15 on average 5-star guys, and you nailed it down the list of the rest of those guys being 4 stars, and then your 3 stars and your 2 stars and what have you. And the reality is kids develop at different rates, right?
Yeah.
A guy can be a Fernando Mendoza, but then he becomes a 5-star, right? Yeah. And there's going to be some guys that come out and they're finished products. They don't have any upside. There's not a high ceiling for development. And they're the same guy at 18 that they are at 22.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what makes the challenge of player evaluation, particularly with high school kids, so difficult. It's not, I used to work in professional football, and it's one thing to evaluate the 26, 27, 28-year-old free agent or the 23-year-old draft choice, because you have unlimited resources to uncover every red flag, check all the boxes. You have the FBI, you have sports psychologists, you have orthopedic surgeons. You can really nail down and hope to avoid a $40-50 million mistake. But you know what? In the National Football League, they still miss on 50% of the first-round draft choices. So now imagine applying that same player evaluation logic to a 15, 16, 17-year-old where you don't have all of the available information. There are going to be unknown variables. You are going to take far more risks. And now as a college coach, you're expected to be right on these guys all the time. That's impossible. I mean, if you hit on 62% of your class, and let's just say that class is 25 guys, you're looking at missing on around 10 guys. The question then becomes, which 10 are they?
Yeah. Well, and that's a great point. You're breaking down the numbers, and that's what people don't understand. The drop-off in high school, then you go from, say, 2,800 kids a year. That number's down significantly. Last question before we go to Doug Dean on beautiful Lake Martin. What's that number at now of kids that are signing high schools? And by the way, the Bison, North Dakota State, are going up to D1.
Yeah.
My man, Dean Nelson, the Eggman, is fired up about that.
I think it's probably down 500 to 600 guys, probably, if I were to give a bit of a guesstimate. I mean, I tell parents, I tell whoever their handlers are, I tell kids all the time, don't devalue a scholarship offer. This isn't 10 years ago, because you are so immediately expendable, because they'll say, well, you want to mess around, we'll just go get this guy who's played 2 years of college football already. We'll take him instead.
Yeah.
So the leverage has now gone back to the school to some degree, whereas 10 years ago, the player held all the cards because he controlled everything. There was no other outlet for coaches or teams to go get a player to replace you, not to mention a player that's probably played significant football. And so now the players got to be a little bit more cautious than they were before.
Well, and you look at the Lane Kiffin, what we keep hearing about him is he doesn't like recruiting the 8th and 9th graders and coddling them all through high school. And then he says, hey, why do I want to have $25 or $30 million worth of, NIL money sitting on the bench? Kind of like if you own a lot of strip malls and real estate, commercial property, and you don't have any tenants, those are a lot of NRAs, non-revenue producing assets.
No, there's no question about it. And, like I said, the unknowns, the unknown variables, how a guy is going to project, that's hard to do if they're in 8th or 9th grade. It's damn near impossible, right? Yep. And then on top of it, you hear coaches talk about identifying, recruiting, signing, and now it's not necessarily developing, it's retaining. Yeah. How do you keep them? How do you get them engaged early? And then hopefully to be able to develop them over time and have a kid that gets the bigger picture and wants to develop and grow and become a guy and understands that it might not happen overnight. Because now what's happening with all the high school kids that you're going and recruiting, if they're not playing right away, they're going to pick up their ball and go home. So what are you better off doing? Are you better off going into the transfer portal and identifying a player that you likely recruited when he was coming out of high school anyway? Yeah. And let's say that player has gone on and He played a little bit. Maybe he redshirted and then played some as a redshirt freshman, played some as a redshirt sophomore. He goes into the portal. Well, he's 3 years older. There's a sample size of him playing on film, and he can probably help you quicker than the true freshman can.
Yeah.
And so when you have that luxury now as a college program, you have choices in where to invest your money. Listen, I believe this wholeheartedly, but the guy that figured it all out is Curt Cignetti.
Yeah.
Because he didn't care about what your name was. He didn't care about how many stars you had. He cared whether or not you played. Look at the guys that were on that roster, and you scour their 2 and 3 deep. Redshirt juniors, redshirt seniors, and graduates.
Yep.
It's hard to be an old football team in college football right now. And if you are, and you're playing with 21, 22, 23-year-olds, and another roster sitting there trying to do this with a handful of transfer portal guys, and then a bunch of consecutive recruiting classes out of the high school ranks, those guys aren't all going to be able to help you right away. So if you've played and you have 25, 30, 35 starts under your belt, you damn well bet these schools are going to start leaning towards that now after they just watched what Indiana did.
Yeah. Well, and you sit there, and the average age of Indiana was 22 and a half years. And that's something I've heard Chuck Oliver say on his show a lot. When you've got these 18, 19-year-old offensive linemen banging heads with BYU, and those guys they've been on the 2-year mountain bike mission, and they're 23 and 24. Tom, you played quarterback at Georgia Tech, and just sidebar, I would give anything for Auburn and Georgia Tech to keep playing. I want Auburn and Florida to keep playing. I just, God bless America. Bobby Dodd Stadium, Grant Field, that's a special place. And nothing like just the organic health plate at the varsity before a game. You can't. There's something about walking across that bridge on I-85. And I was over there for the Auburn Georgia game, and I think they were playing Virginia Tech that day. And I went. It's just, God, it's an iconic place. But I want to ask you now about the ACC health report. ACC basketball was so big and so dominant for so long.
Yeah.
Ellis Johnson said on our show, longtime coach, that the 800 SAT and Chapel Hill insisting that basketball be the bell cow, the 30-year bond for that conference. And it's been a long time for them to transition to say, hey, football, you've got Florida State, you've got Georgia Tech, you've got Miami, you've got some Clemson. I mean, some powerful brands that, why not just, I'm being serious, why not make you commissioner? I mean, I would love to have someone like you that played in the league and understands. Back in the 90s, it was the dominant league. And when George Welsh was rolling at Virginia and Bobby Ross, I remember, that's what I grew up with.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, I think that the main issue that the ACC has run into is they were late to the party of making football the front porch of each university and the front porch of the conference. It's your greatest revenue producer. Now, the one team in that league that was not late to the party was Clemson. Because Clemson, when Dabo Swinney was hired, and their athletic director was a guy by the name of Dan Radakovich, who had been at Georgia Tech and comes over to Clemson. He's now the AD at Miami. They got together and they realized, if we're going to elevate this program, we have to push all our chips to the center of the table. And we have to say that football is driving the bus of this organization. Yeah. And you know what? If the faculty doesn't like it, tough. There's the door. Yeah. If so-and-so doesn't like it, there's the door. But the reality of the situation is, when you choose to make that decision, your applications for enrollment skyrocket. Yep. Your enrollment skyrockets. Commerce in the community skyrockets. Yep. When that new wing gets built on the library and the new wing gets built on the electrical engineering center, where do you think that's coming from? Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so what Clemson did is they said, okay, we're going to refurbish Memorial Stadium. We're going to build a first-class, state-of-the-art football operations center unlike anybody's in the country. We're gonna build our indoor practice facility. They didn't have any of these things when Dabo started. Yeah. Right. And so if you make that choice to do it, unapologetically, because there's going to be pushback from folks that don't, they don't want athletics running the whole entire deal. Well, if you want to make everybody happy, go sell ice cream. But if you want to lead and you want to put your biggest revenue producing entity on campus at the forefront of the university, over time, it will pay off. And if you look at what Virginia Tech committed to doing when they fired Brent Pry, within a week of that happening, what did they do? We are making a $230 million investment in football.
Yep.
Well, why do you think James Franklin took the job?
Yeah.
Because now you're going to have resources, and those resources, they can be financial. They could be in the form of manpower. They could be in the form of staffing. They could be in the form of name, image, and likeness. If you put yourself in a position to compete on the open market and you have the right leadership, then you're going to have an opportunity to succeed. And I think just the conference as a whole was late to grasp and take on that vision. And you kind of hope it's not too late now.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great point. I had a brother-in-law that played college football at Virginia Tech. I followed the Hokies since 1983 in the late, I used to be in the Metro Conference with Memphis. I mean, I remember Castle Coliseum up there. There's so many great venues. When I go up to North Carolina, I know you live in Charlotte. My son, when he was up there, went to Chapel Hill to some games and some other ACC games. He said, "Dad, these aren't Coliseum. These are cathedrals.
Yeah.
They really are." I love what you said. Your honesty about the ACC was late to the party, making football the big deal. And Georgia Tech, per capita, I think probably has more millionaires than any school, because engineering.
1 in every 5 graduates.
Yeah. Engineering is where the money comes. The biggest profit center at Auburn, who is always pulling on the back wheel of Georgia Tech. That's what makes Auburn better. In Florida, engineering is tech. When Georgia Tech gets excited and gets their alumni base and their fans, they have a campus in Paris. I mean, this is a ginormous brand.
Right.
But when they get excited, I really, really like seeing Georgia Tech, do well. You got a coach from Hewitt Trustful. But I wonder, they've got a lot of international students, but the city of Atlanta can make that they can become a monster in one of the top 5 recruiting bases in the country.
Yeah. Listen, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, because they're one of the few institutions that is in a city where there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do, right? And people will make choices where they spend their money and what they want to do for their entertainment value. The thing about Tech is, and this is where Brent Key really embraced this, because he understood the internal dynamics, because he had played there, he had coached there. He intimately knew the challenges at Tech.
Yeah.
And instead of pushing back on them, he chose to try to find solutions. And listen, I'll be the first one to say that is not an easy place to go to school.
No.
I mean, there are inherent challenges there academically. It's not an easy place to get players into school. It's not an easy place to get players in for the transfer portal.
Yeah.
It's hard to graduate players.
Yeah.
The academic curriculum is gnarly, to say the least.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you have some challenges, but you're right. You could sit in Brent Key's office and throw a rock in any direction within 30 miles and hit a great player. Right.
Yeah.
And so depending on the recruiting class cycle, if Georgia Tech wanted to, they could probably recruit their entire high school roster without getting on an airplane.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's an advantage. That's a great luxury to have.
Yeah.
And I think as he has rehabilitated the program and gotten them not just back to respectability, but beyond that, that's where the university, well, I shouldn't say university, the institution, because it's not the university.
That's right.
That is where they, for the first time, in my opinion, in a long time, have a top-down alignment from the president to the football coach about what is the level of importance do we want Georgia Tech football to be?
Yeah.
And the universal answer to that question is high, right? Well, now all of a sudden the results have started to come.
Yeah.
because you're not constantly battling the administration for things that you absolutely have to win.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about winning a national championship. I'm talking about having a winning record.
Yes.
And if you have an administration that's not going to give you those resources, then you're just going to be going in a constant cycle of 4-8, 5-7, 6-6.
Yeah, correct. And that's Memphis had that situation. I think several coaches have said, I just fill my tank up, at the gas station, and I can drive around the Memphis area, get all the basketball players I need. There's also a lot of good football players. Middle Tennessee is the best part for the state of Tennessee high school football.
Yeah.
Switching SEC, ACC, John Sumrall at Florida. What you know of him? He, to me, I love all the sports, but he's exactly who I'd want to play for if I was a player. I watched him down on the field before the Memphis Tulane game with Ryan Silverfield. Those are two of my favorite coaches. It's so much fun. And Doug Dean, hopefully he's back with us now at Lake Martin if the Gremlins have gone away. But your thoughts and on John Sumrall and and Alex Golish coming to Auburn, Ryan Silverfield making the move up from the American, that's what they call the American Athletic Conference, because Silverfield, if you get a text from him, it's 4:15 in the morning. He's in the office. He's got twin daughters that are a year old. He just may want to get out of the house, but he works his ass off. All these guys do.
So I broadcasted the Thursday night ESPN package this year with Matt Berry. We had Memphis a couple times. We had Tulane 3 times. I've known John for a while. I had a game of his at Troy. I had the Citrus Bowl between Iowa and Kentucky when he had just taken the Troy job. He was there. And ironically, I was telling you off air, I was the head coach of the arena football franchise in 2000 in Huntsville, Alabama. And he was at Grissom High School in Huntsville and used to come to my games. And we were having a chuckle about that this fall. Here's the thing about John Sumrall that I love and that Florida fans are going to have to come to love or come to understand. And that is, he is black and white, no nonsense. He is going to tell you exactly how he feels. And his wife will probably tell you that sometimes that's his greatest fault. But the thing that you will respect about that is the players are always going to know where they stand.
Yeah.
Right. And, he and I were having a conversation about the transfer portal, and he's like, I'll sit down, I'll have a conversation with a guy, and I'm going to ask him some very pointed, specific questions. And if they're not the answers I need to hear for a guy to fit into this program, I don't care how talented he is, we're not taking him.
Good.
There has to be a standard. And he's very, very upfront about that. And, I think he's super personable, deals with the media extremely well, hard on his players, but loves them up. But I think you have to be so upfront now because of the transfer portal and name, image, and likeness and the money that's involved. His mindset, and I agree with him. And unfortunately, I don't think we have enough players that understand how the real world works. Is if I'm paying you to do a job and I'm paying you to perform, it is your job to perform. If you don't perform, you don't play. If you don't play, you don't get paid. Right? It would be like us going out in the real world, graduated from college, and going around to all these employers and saying, well, I want this, and this. And the employer looking at you like you got 3 heads going, you haven't done anything yet. What are you talking about? Well, that's what's happening right now in high school recruiting and in the transfer portal. And his whole thing is, listen, if you perform and you play and you produce, you create value. Right? You create marketability. Now you are somebody that's attractive to endorse in name, image, and likeness. You are somebody that has earned the right to be paid and compensated because you have performed. We're in this world right now where everybody thinks they're owed the compensation without the performance.
Yep.
And that's not how it works.
Yeah.
And he's very, very upfront about that with his players.
Yeah, I've never been paid. I've been in the commission business since May of '91 as a financial advisor. I've never been paid a bunch of money on the first or second day of the month because they like my clothes. This is
Right.
how it works. Hey, Tom Luginbill, ESPN's chief recruiting analyst, also ACC Network, Georgia Tech quarterback, son of a coach, Al Luginbill, a traveler, man. Let's bring in Doug Dean from Lake Martin with Tom Luginbill. Thanks, everybody. Like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate it.
Rob and Tom, the great legendary Tom Luginbill, honored to have you on the show. It's apologize for my technical challenges.
Hey, dude, listen. I have a place on Lake Hartwell, right on the border of Georgia and South Carolina. And half of the year I spend down there, and I have to do the exact same thing you're doing. Sirius XM, sometimes College Football Live, and I'll take my whole kit, I'll take it all the way down there, and invariably something doesn't work, right?
Sure.
I feel you, brother. And you're on Lake Martin. That's where my man Greg McElroy's at. He's on Martin too.
Like McElroy and at least half a dozen former Auburn coaches who got buyouts.
Oh yeah.
And Tom, you mentioned. I'm going to ask you something. How your coverage and the knowledge you have to have now as a sports journalist, reporter, a guy who covers college football and other sports. I'll get to that in a second. But you brought up John Sumrall. Auburn fans would be disingenuous, so I'm not going to do it, to say, "Oh, we never wanted some." It was well documented. That was close to a hire being done, and I'm not sure what missteps may have occurred. But it's funny how sometimes things work out for both parties, in this case, Florida and Auburn. And, that third Saturday, by the way, Rob will be here at Lake Martin. Luginbill, if you're not on assignment elsewhere, you have a standing invitation to Lake Martin and Jordan-Hare Stadium.
We'll have a blast.
That's Florida at Auburn, third Saturday. It's great to get Brendan going to chime in a minute, I bet. But it's great to get that great series renewed. And it'll be, if you want to brand that game a little bit, you could call it the Regret Bowl. I mean, if you're Florida, it's just one game, and it will not predict how these coaches do over several years. But you could see Alex Gauex make Auburn fans feel like, boy, I sure am glad we messed up the hire of John Sumrall. We look pretty good today. And then Florida fans say, how can we? Gauex showed us how to win football games. He came to Gainesville and beat us a year ago. Yeah. But I guess we just hired who we hired. So that's going to be an interesting. My question to you, though, is, did you see it? Was it on your bingo card, Luginbill, 5 years ago, that you would need to know something about injunctive relief in small podunk counties in colleges related to football and basketball player eligibility? How crazy is that?
Yeah, unbelievable. And listen, the deal is, it's not like it used to be where, okay, you had 5 years, one redshirt year. You had to, if you transferred down, okay, or you sat out. All right, those are the rules. Everybody accepted it. Everybody got it. And then when all of this player freedom and guys started lawyering up, and the NCAA immediately stepped back, and when the players realized that the NCAA doesn't have any teeth, and they lawyered up, then all of a sudden things started going the way of the player, right? Yeah. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with Tom Marr, who was the attorney for many of those players in the early days, 5, 6, 7 years ago, when this stuff all started. Who was the attorney for all those guys, and they all got the waiver, right? So players started to see the light at the end of the tunnel real quickly. And so, am I in favor of guys playing 6, 7 years in college football? No, I don't think that's what it's for. I don't think that's what it's meant to be. No. If I was a player and you said, hey, play this game as long as you can and as long as they'll let you, and now that you're making money above and beyond a scholarship, hell yeah, I'd want to do it, right? Because you don't know when it's all going to end. I mean, 0.4% of everybody that plays college football will play in the National Football League. The rest of them are going to go out in the real world, right? So if you know that you're going to be able to make some money, maybe put some stuff away, get your professional life started in whatever career you start, then heck yeah, I'd want to play for as long as I could. But I feel like we've just gotten away from this being a game of development and growth and academic success, the value of earning a degree, the importance of it. I mean, these guys are transferred 3, 4, 5 times. You're never going to get a degree. Yeah. Right. And then what's going to happen is they're going to end up leaving school. They're not going to get drafted. They're blown all of their money, and they're going to be on the street with no degree. And now where are you at?
Yeah.
And nobody wants to talk about that.
You got to love the tale of two Deep South judges, the Honorable Judge Daniel Pruitt in Sixth Circuit in Tuscaloosa County, heard the arguments. I think it was January 30. And coincidentally, Luginbill, that was the day before the Iron Bowl of basketball. And the good judge, because he's smart, astute politically, said that he needed at least the weekend to ponder the merits of the arguments. And then, he ruled. I think most people believe he ruled very correctly in denying that eligibility for Bediako. And there was a lot of in Indianapolis NCAA headquarters and probably across the whole coaching fraternity, there was a sigh of relief because imagine NFL, you can go enter the draft. Let's say you're a free agent or a fourth or fifth worst draft pick. If you get booted from camp, just go back to college for six figures.
Well, yeah, but until we get to that point, what we had, see, you guys, I'm sure, recall Dabo Sweeney's rant a little over a week ago, in which he was 100% correct in everything that he is saying. My analysis on that day, I happened to be on College Football Live that day when it broke, and my analysis was number one, I applaud you for doing this, Dabo, but I hope that your house is clean, because you can't do that publicly if you got guys on your staff, right? I'm not saying they do. I'm just saying you have to make sure that if you're going to do that, nothing blows back on you, right?
Yeah.
But we are, and he made the analogy to the National Football League. Can you imagine if the NFL was run like college football? It would come crumbling to the ground in less than a year.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's the equivalent of Patrick Mahomes at the end of the season saying, I think I played pretty well this year, and I think I can make some more money over here. I signed a contract, but that doesn't matter. And I'm going to go play for the Green Bay Packers next year, right? And it being allowed, right? The tampering side of it. See, people talk about the transfer portal and NIL being the problem in college football. No, it's not. Tampering is the single biggest problem in college football that we have right now. If you did that in the National Football League, you would be done. You would have no draft choices. You would have restrictions in free agency. They could pummel your franchise. What we've got to have in college football, if you really want to do something about it, you need to make the governance, enforcing, and policing of tampering so severe in terms of what the penalties would be, nobody would dare even think to pick that phone up and send a text or make a phone call. But we don't have that. Yeah. So the coaches are they all live in the gray anyway. So they're going to push that envelope because there's nobody policing it and enforcing it and deterring them from doing it. And that's a real shame, because that's not what the sport's supposed to be.
And have you noticed that Greg Sankey, who he's wielded a lot of intimidating big stick over the years, it's as if at least some programs, the fear factor of the commish is not what it used to be, seemingly, with ADs and coaches.
No, and because the commish knows full well that the NCAA also has no teeth. So if they're not going to do anything, why should I? We want our guys to have an advantage, right?
Yep.
So he can plead ignorance and step back, or he can slap on the wrist and not really impact the team. But I guarantee you this, if you got caught for tampering and they said, okay, we're taking away 10 scholarships in a postseason ban next year, you think you'd do it?
Yep. Yeah.
You think that team that wants you, that fan base and that city and that state that expects you to be in the college football playoff, and now you're not? Because the fans don't care that you're tampering. They want to win. Yeah. They want to win. So they're not sitting there looking at it.
The Signetti way, sorry if I walked on it, and we'll get back to Rob, but the Signetti way is surely going to create imitators who go get old players who have a chip on their shoulder. And I for one, love that. I always was cynical, probably sound like an Auburn guy, that it's funny how when a player changed his commitment to a big blue blood, his star rating magically went up, Luginbill.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah. And so
not with us, I can tell you that, because I've told our staff from 20 years ago till now, I said, if a guy wakes up on a Monday and we have him as a 4-star and he goes and decides to commit to Rutgers the next day, he didn't become a worse player overnight.
Yeah.
He is what we evaluated him to be.
Well, but see, the cynics out here think that it's good for business if you prop up the star ratings of various programs.
It is for individual recruiting websites that are devoted to that school.
Right.
because that generates subs, right? And I get that whole that's a whole nother hour-long conversation you could get into
well,
in
but it
recruiting.
segues into my question. We're gonna make you the football commissioner for a minute here, Tom.
There you go.
What would you do? What would you do to get hope of opportunity to play, whether the kid gets NIL or not, for the high school seniors coming out who are the supply of scholarships, much less NIL money coming out of high school is severely cut. What is the model? How can we protect the future of these kids that are certainly capable of playing and competing in college?
Well, number one, I think the first thing that we're going to have to do, and nobody likes to have this discussion, is in order to stay out of court and in order to enforce contracts, we have to stop not calling them employees. And we have to stop calling NIL. We have to start calling NIL what it is, and that's pay for play. Right? Name, image, and likeness in NIL, in pay for play are two entirely different things. But in order to force contracts, for example, the Darian Mensah situation at Duke, right?
Yep.
And I made a reference to, Patrick Mahomes or any other player you want to look at in the NFL. That's the equivalent to those guys doing that and it being allowed. So you got to make contracts that are enforceable, right? And that require, number one, the player to perform, to meet certain standards. You don't get to sit out games, right? I would make a one-time transfer free. Every other transfer after that by that player, you'd have to sit out. I would allow the person that has earned a college degree to transfer as much as they want, because you've now completed the task of helping you become a contributing member to society, which every study in America will tell you, if you have a college degree, your chances of earning potential and things of that nature will go up. So I would hit that hard. I would come up with a commissioner of college football and a board of directors and a committee not too dissimilar to the AFCA that would determine rules, guidelines, regulations, and all of those sorts of things. Because right now, the people that are making the decisions in college football are not the guys living the day-to-day of college football. Yeah. And that's the coaches. We got to start getting the coaches in the room when you've got a bureaucrat or a president or an AD saying, well, we want to do this, this, and this. And the coaches are going to look at them like, are you out of your mind? Do you realize what we're dealing with every day? Do you realize what this market is like out here, what we're having to navigate through? We don't have any of that right now. And until we get that, then we're going to continue to have what I call the wild, wild west out there.
Yep. Tom, I'm going to draw a parallel here picture. And I know we're going to get you out. I know you've got something at 10 a.m. Eastern. And we're going to have Brad Bellamy join us in just a moment. One of our sponsors with Landers Ford wants to say hello and say something. But if you can hang with us, you think about the military. Mm-hmm. The higher you go up in the rank, the Pentagon, you have so little to do with the men in the field. That's a real problem. And you think about it, you just nailed it. And I want to pick this up right after Brad says hello. But Brad, we've got Tom Luginbill, ESPN's chief recruiting analyst, also on the ACC network.
Morning.
And also, I wish the commissioner of college football, a Georgia Tech grad. No, but you're pragmatic. You've got a plan. Doug's right. You got a plan. But Brad Bellamy, Landers Ford. Let's talk Landers for a minute and then go back. Tom, if you can answer my question after that, and then we'll let you go.
Mm-hmm. Hey, good morning. Thanks, Rob. Glad to be on with you guys this morning. Tom, thanks for being on the show with Rob.
Yeah.
Man, Rob, SUV season right now, huge deals on 25 expeditions, $2,000 off. So when you include that with some of our rebates and discounts, about $6,000 off some 25 expeditions. The big one though, Explorer, $9,000 off 25 Explorers as we move out those, $6,000 rebate from Ford. Truck month starts next Tuesday. We'll be bringing back the 0% that we had in the fourth quarter. But right now we got huge programs on all SUVs: Bronco Sport, Explorer, Expedition. Need to come in this weekend though. That program ends on Monday as we then transition to truck month. So, man, we've got some great offerings both here and then at our new store at Mount Moriah and American Way, Landers Ford. So, Houston Levy and Poplars one, and then also, man, great opportunity to bring your vehicle in to get it through our shop. Got a lot of stuff cleared out from the snow, and so we are no wait right now on a lot of different things that people need. So bring it in. We'll get it taken care of. pickup and delivery. My guy Robert handling all of that service, as well as our mobile service van going out. We'll meet you where you want to be met, Rob. So good to be on with you this morning.
Absolutely, man. And nobody works harder. And Tom Luginbill, I'm telling you one thing. You ever come to Memphis? You ever come to the Touchdown Club? One day maybe you'll be a speaker there. These are the sponsors. Kent Ritchie,
Great.
Don Kitchens, Brad Bellamy's the GM. They are what you call the dream sponsor to have on this show. And before we go, and then we're going to come back to Brad, I got to ask you too. Here's a question from Maury Gaston. Many people say ESPN has become an echo chamber. There's no original thoughts. There is a herd mentality. How do you respond to that? And I'll just say you are definitely an independent. You are William Wallace. You're not up there with the nobles waiting for scraps from Longshank's table. We need more Tom Luginbill. And we also don't need the ACC or any conferences to fall apart. This is what makes America great. This is why we get up at 5 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, is to stay tuned to college football. Nothing against the NFL, but that's when you're rolling in and out of sleep on the couch on a Sunday. Sorry.
Yeah, listen, my role at this company over the last 20 years I've worn a lot of hats, right? And I've been our scouting director, our recruiting guy. I was our very first field analyst on ABC that we ever had. I've done studio work. Now I'm on the Thursday night broadcast. I work multiple platforms, SEC, ABC, ESPN, ACC. And the number one thing that I've tried to do to the best of my ability is keep it about ball. Like, I think it's my job to make the viewer more intelligent or educated on the game, right? It's not necessarily my job to go off on some screaming and yelling tangent. So that's just not my personality. That I love to do game breakdown, player breakdown. What do you need to look for next? What did we just see? Why was it important? All of those sorts of things that have to do with the internal X's and O's of the game. But my background's in coaching. So like, that's kind of where my foundation is.
Yeah.
And so I've always just tried to keep it about the analysis of the game to inform the viewer and make the viewer better or understand the game better, because I've never been a big stat guy.
Yeah.
There are very few stats. There are stats, but most stats have nothing to do with winning and losing.
Yeah.
And I think stats can be a lazy crutch, because anybody can go on the internet or pick up a magazine and say, oh, well, this guy ran for 1,200 yards and blah, 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 blah. All right. What I would then prefer to do on that player is I want to be able to inform you on what he does well, what he does not do well. All right. Does he have some issues? Does he have some red flags? Are there areas of strength that are really, really good? Why could this guy make it right away? Like, get into the weeds a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that's kind of always how I've kind of dealt with my day-to-day here the last 20 years and tried to stay away from a lot of the fluff.
Well, you're the old deal. Stay out of politics and stay in production. You are an elite talent. We've watched you for a long time. I hope you'll come back on with us again soon. This has been an absolute treat, and I appreciate your patience. We had a little bit of a start.
Sure.
I got the best executive producer, the best team. I'm an old school guy. It ain't about one individual. It's about the team. You're the son of a coach, and I'm telling you what, my phone, I'm getting so many compliments. They're going, you got to get this guy back. Could you imagine him with Bartu? Holy cow.
Well, listen, if I didn't have a deal here at 10 that I already had pre-scheduled, I'd stay on with you as long as you want. It's Friday right now. The season's over. I just finished 15 straight weeks of 7 days a week. Okay. So
Woo!
right now, all I care about is going snow skiing, going to the lake, maybe catching up with a movie, reintroducing myself to my wife and kids, and then write some stuff for ESPN.com when a deadline comes up. That's my focus right now.
Well, I'm just going to tell you, you've made our day with your positive outlook, man. You got to see it to believe it. And have a great one, Tom. And we'll be honored to have you in anytime, okay?
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
You bet. I'm going to tell you what, guys. I am so fired up about college football after hearing that. And Brad Bellamy, want to say another thing. The Landers, it's such a big deal. I love having you on here, and we're gonna get you. I want to do a gaming show for next year and get Bartu and y'all, your acumen, your skills, your knowledge of the game, and Doug, way to persevere. Fight had some technical gremlins, and you heard what Tom Luginbill said. He goes to Lake Hartwell, Doug. And he says half the time he's doing it from a remote place. I love your studio there in the background, Brad. You have perfect internet, but
Yeah, right.
I love what Tom Luginbill just said. It's about ball, and I think he'd be a great speaker at the Touchdown Club one day. Man, you talk about knowledge. The son of a coach, played at Georgia Tech, coached, and did scouting. What he said about high school football is amazing. We went from about 2,800 kids a year signing D1 scholarships. He said that number's probably dropped 500 or 600 because of all the transfer stuff. Brad, your thoughts on that? And then back to Doug Dean at beautiful Lake Martin, home of all former Auburn coaches.
Yeah, I mean, I think that again, I hope that there's a long-term play here where things get back to somewhat normal, what it used to be. I mean, it's because think about the number of kids, if they don't get that scholarship, they might not be able to get to school. I mean, like Jalen Wells is a great example, plays for the Grizzlies here. He actually had to pay for his first year of college. He wasn't on a scholarship first year. I mean, and now he's an NBA player. I mean, it just, I don't love that. I think that that's a huge aspiration for a lot of high school athletes, and that's their entryway into college. I mean, a lot of these guys, especially the high-end athlete, that might be the difference between them having a college education and not.
Yeah.
And if you don't get in as a freshman, then are you even going to go to a junior college or a community college? I mean, what's that program going to start looking like? I mean, are we going to start seeing elevated programs in the junior college ranks more than we've seen in the past because of not necessarily they got in trouble and couldn't get into a school, but maybe they're a one-star that couldn't get that scholarship, and now all of a sudden they were able to grow and develop it from 18 to 19. I mean, you still have kids that hit the puberty late that they become a man a little bit later. So, and one other thing, I don't know, I'm sure y'all have already talked about it, but how can the state of Mississippi's legal system be the ones that determine that Chambliss gets another year of eligibility? I mean, shouldn't that be a federal decision? I mean, the only way that didn't happen is if that court was in Starkville, right? Yeah. And they're like, this guy's not going to Ole Miss for another year. I mean, but supposedly the lawyer didn't even show up. I mean, I just think it's the most ridiculous thing. They should have just given him his 6th year, because as soon as it's going to a state court, of course he's going to play again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brad, you can't leave Judge Pruitt in Tuscaloosa County out of that either. Although he ruled correctly.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was the ultimate irony last night when I saw that.
It's outrageous. And I think if you're a school in Texas, you're probably feeling some swagger that you've got so much oil money you can just outbid everyone and win championships. But it's hollow. I think a huge majority of college football fans would like to have something resembling an NFL style level playing field. So that's the task, to try to get there.
Well, you think about these judges, you have changes of venue in the courts. We're talking so much legal. I wasn't surprised. Tom Morris is his attorney. He's out of Little Rock. Jackie Sherrill kind of tipped us off to him several years ago on this show. He's the guy that represented all the players 6 and 7 years ago. Tom Luginbill referenced it in the segment right before you came on, that he never lost. Well, that was the attorney for Trinidad Chambliss. And all they got to do, all I would do is say, case closed, TJ Finley, 7 years, 7 schools. And I'm wondering, maybe he's getting a master's, in endocrinology or kinesiology, or maybe he's getting his master's in accounting. I don't know. I doubt.
Doctor. Brandon Whedon just got his 12th year of eligibility at Oklahoma State. He's coming back, even though he had a little bit of a pro career. He's coming back to play. So, I think he was 26 when he left college. So I figure now he's in his mid 30s. It's time to come back to one more eligibility.
Wow. I mean, and that, look, bottom line is college football, we love it. The games are more entertaining than we can ever remember. There it is, TJ Finley's college football tour. I mean, there's a T-shirt waiting to be sold from Opelousas, Louisiana. Hell, I'm old enough to remember Auburn beating LSU. That was in 2020. He was the quarterback. Auburn won the game 48-11. He was the quarterback. The next year, he was at Auburn. You can't make this stuff up.
It was
Unfortunately,
3 over.
I don't think that's the typical collegiate path that people are looking to go as part of their progression.
No.
So I think that was supposed to be flipped. But hey, man, great to be on with you guys this morning. One plug: Carnival Education Foundation has our Denim and Diamonds event next Friday night. Great opportunity to have a great time. We have the Neon Mooners, which is an 80s and 90s country cover band. It's $100 a ticket. All that money goes to grants in the Carterville education system. I will be doing a live auction. Rob, if there's something you want to donate for an auction item, we'll take it. But it'll be a great time.
All right, I'm going to call you about that. And I'm going to say, too, Corey Carter, MyTownRoofing.com, Major Fusel, Chris Fiedler, those guys love Landers Ford. I'm going to tell you, when I send people love working with you, Brad. You're a decent guy, and you are in the right business. And you're Don Kitchens and Kent Ritchie. That award you won, that's a big deal. You give back so much. I'm telling you, not everybody does that. You don't have to. You do it because you want to. It sets Landers apart. Thank you. Have a great weekend. We'll help any way we can. All right. Hey, Doug. I absolutely love the conversation. Your questions. You nailed it, And I also like what Tom Luginbill is going to say what he thinks. He's not living in an echo chamber, and it's about ball. And you know what I'm starting to realize? I mean, that Thursday night game, that's special. That's for people that just love the game of football. Just like, if you have trouble sleeping, take some of these lights out gummies. But Doug, your response to that?
Yeah, he'll be back on, but when I get my computer Wi-Fi working properly, I'd love to. A couple of things I would put to Luginbill is because he's really got a long pedigree in college football recruiting and all the hype and evaluations that go into that. I wonder, what have you done, Kurt Signetti? I bet. How does a Luginbill and these evaluators, if you just look at look at all the players coming out of the portal. How do you evaluate a 25-year-old that Indiana or somebody with that philosophy? Do you give them extra points just because of experience, even though they haven't really necessarily blown up and shown themselves to be elite? It's going, and then Signetti's sitting there saying, "You're killing me. Don't take my 2-star any higher. It's going to cost me NIL money." So yeah. I mean, the recruiting evaluation, I think we're about 5 years behind on the validity and reliability of portal transfer ratings and evaluations. All you can go by is their production on the field.
Yeah, well, and I think about a neighbor of yours, Jerry Duncan, played at Alabama, and look what he's done with that. He was he went through the grinder, back in that time, and he's a cool guy. What it gets down to with college football, what saves this game is the people that play it, and right now, and we know the passion, the love we have for the game, it gets stronger, and I really like these new coaches. We've talked about, I think Gauex is the right guy at the right time. And I think by a circuitous route, both Florida and Auburn got the right coach. I think they did. And I got to ask you, Auburn got a commitment from the number one player in Alabama out of Hueytown for whatever a commitment means, Doug. It's kind of like a dragonfly landing on a lily pad.
Well, you're always these numbers. No, if you believe in evaluations and ratings, he's the number 2 D lineman in the country, and that's buttressed by his offer list, which is the top 10 in college football: Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. All of them wanted this kid, so that speaks well of not only Gauex, but I would suspect that not only DJ Durkin, but his you're going to have to help me with the name, the defensive line coach, that is a great relationship builder. So that's what, everybody's going to be throwing money around, but who can build the relationships?
Yeah, I mean, everything is relationships. I mean, the kids, and also they got to be able to play right away. That seems to be the key. All right, Doug, looking right now, let's get some SEC basketball real quick. Last year, 14 teams made the tournament out of 16, best ever. No surprise. Last couple of minutes here, you got Joe Lunardi saying maybe 10 or 11 this year. That's better than I thought.
Stephen Pearl better hope so. I think the Ken Palm is always to be monitored, but then you get into late season, which of these teams that there's the obvious. Florida might be better than they were a year ago, even though Auburn went down there and was able to pull out the win. That quad one win for Auburn looks better and better by the minute. But Pearl is like most of these teams that are likely to be bubble considerations. You got to start not just have a great resume, because the 10 losses Auburn has were all by ranked teams. But that won't matter if you keep losing games. You'll be on the outside looking in. So I lean toward more like 8 or 9 SEC teams, but they certainly, from a year ago, they have the case to make for as many as 10, but not more than 10.
All right, one more thing before you go. What's a story that you see happening that maybe people aren't talking about that you think is going to affect college football, basketball going forward? Got to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay. This one, people are talking about it, but it's not daily obsession. But to me, it's the question of with expansion of the playoff, and you bolt that onto let's be real, it's the SEC and Big Ten and a few others that are followers, not leaders. If Big Ten and Sankey, those commissioners is Petiti, I believe is his name, Big Ten.
Yep.
If they agree on the super conference expansion, let's say that gets as big as 32 teams, then I think we'll start to say inside of 5 years, you're going to have a NFL style super conference, and regrettably, most of the other teams will have to decide what is their commitment to football if they don't have a realistic chance to claim a national championship or at least make a bona fide playoff run. So it's what will the architecture look like with the number of playoff teams, and especially how big is this super conference and who all makes that?
Yeah, and as soon as we think it's over, it's always darkest before dawn. Something great's going to happen. I'm telling you, the free market will fix it, but it's going to be a crazy ride. It's going to be like watching sausage being made, I can tell you. Doug Dean, great stuff. Executive producer Brendan Martin, always. Guest Tom Luginbill, Brad Bellamy, all of you. Hey, most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Think about ways you can improve the lives of others around you. The better you are for everybody else. Share it, like, and subscribe. We'll see you Monday. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching.